Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So this is going to be I want to combine my review of episode 4 of World Beyond with some really important dialogue that was actually said here that really sets up the Rick movie and I guess really does sort of put into context things that could be happening right now. And it is so hard to say obviously what's going on in Rick's life right now. But there was something said in this episode, and it seems like a lot of people missed it, but there was something said in the episode here that really hints at what is going on behind the scenes right now, what is going on in the Rick movie, just things going on right now. And I do think the Rick movie, whatever is going to happen in like the opening sequence or maybe later on in the movie, looking back at this scene here when Elizabeth Kublik says this, we're going to be like, holy shit, she was referencing that moment that happened in the Rick movie. And it actually seems like what they're doing, like World Beyond, and again, I'll say this, I was not a fan of episode 4. I think it's so far the worst episode of the season, but I'm a huge fan of how it ended. I definitely like how it ended and what they're setting up here. And it actually seems like, episode 5 and 6 is starting to get the ball rolling here with a lot of this stuff here. There's a lot of focus on Huck. And I will say that episode 4 really focuses a lot on Huck, and she is my favorite character by far. But before we go any further, I do have to warn you that this will contain spoilers for episode 4 of World Beyond, that's season 2. And also, if you are new here and you do want more Walking Dead content like this, then make sure to be a subscriber. I will also be doing a Rick movie video sometime this week. I'm going to talk about this and then talk about some other stuff. And then, yeah, expect some of the more like Rick movie theory videos, the Rick movie just like idea and topic videos to start to come out a little bit more in the next like month or two, just because World Beyond is obviously ending next month, or I guess early December. So we are building towards this ending right now. We got a tease here at what or at least what a part of the story of the Rick movie could be. So yeah. Anyways, if you are new here and you want all my Walking Dead content, World Beyond content, and Rick movie content, then definitely make sure to hit subscribe. So the big thing that was mentioned here, obviously, was in a scene with Elizabeth Kublik and Huck, you had Elizabeth Kublik addressing everyone. They were filming this message, or maybe they were broadcasting it. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if they have actual live television or exactly how things like this play out, but Elizabeth Kublik was actually filming this message. And I will say, just on that one part there, Elizabeth Kublik is a bigger character, I think, than we were all originally thinking. There is this like Major General Beale. No idea who this person is. Really have no idea. But the fact that Elizabeth Kublik is filming this message and sending it out to the CRM is really interesting, because like, why wouldn't you have Major General Beale? I think of it like in the United States, at least, or even here in Canada, if something happens, you'll have the Prime Minister, or I guess the President in the US, filming a message, or I guess going live and broadcasting it to the entire world, right? And saying like, this big thing happened, like they'll address the nation sort of thing. That's what Elizabeth Kublik did here. She addressed the nation. So this is something that is actually pretty big. And I do think that the events of Omaha and what happened here in World Beyond are actually going to take place, or there's going to be mentions of it in World Beyond, and some stuff that is happening with the Rick movie. Because it actually seems like the plot of World Beyond is setting up some stuff here that's going to be going on in the Rick movie. Because if you notice in World Beyond, their motives as to why they decided to destroy Omaha seem really fishy, really weird, right? Everyone thought it's because we saw a column go through. And I thought, like, I totally trusted Elizabeth Kublik when she said that. I was like, oh, they just walked through there, or they're about to. And so they were like, you know what? We got to destroy this whole place. It's sad, but we just had to. No, it turns out that's not the case at all. There's something weird here. There's a reason why they did this. And so coming back to the piece of dialogue that is really important for the Rick movie, Elizabeth Kublik, obviously she's been missing for an episode or two. She mentions to Huck that, sorry, I've been so busy. I've been dealing with this really urgent situation down at the health and welfare complex. Now, this connects to stuff that we were talking about last season, the things that we learned about the health and welfare complex, that a lot of people, when they're taken into the CRM, when there's something wrong with them, basically, or they won't listen to the Civic Republic, they go to this place. And I think basically they're trying to be brainwashed, or they're held captive here. Something happened here. There was an urgent matter that Elizabeth Kublik had to leave to go and do. It was such a weird piece of dialogue that was just thrown in there. And I mean, this is clearly Rick movie related. This is clearly the setup for this. And that's why Jadis, I think, is going to come into the picture very soon. there's something going on here with the CRM, and I really like that they're starting to unfold a little bit more here. They're starting to, or not unfold, but they're starting to reveal a little bit more about the plot of the Rick movie here and what the Civic Republic are up to. And I like the fact that, yeah, this is clearly something related to Rick. And I do wonder what happened if there was some, like, in my head, I'm thinking, well, Rick has been there for a few years. He's been held captive here at the Health and Welfare Complex. Because if you remember in season 1, there was that one guy who just, he refused to really work for the CRM, and he hated what happened in Omaha. And so she was like, all right, whatever. She sent him away to the Health and Welfare Complex. And so, he went there. It's likely going to be there until he's somehow made better, is brainwashed, and then will be put back into service or be sent somewhere else, right? It makes sense to me that Rick would be sent there. We even talked about that back then. Rick is not going to follow along and join the Civic Republic. There's no way. He's not the type of person to do that. So I think he's been there for a few years, and that makes sense because you got to think of how this Rick movie is going to start off timeline-wise. Are they going to start it 6 years ago? Probably in the very beginning, we're going to see him in the helicopter arrive here, right? Arrive at the CRM. But I think afterwards, they're going to jump forward like 4 or 5 or maybe 6 years. They are going to jump forward in time because they have to. Rick has been gone for a very long time, and I think they want to start the story fresh and sort of start there and not have the movie set in like a previous timeline, right? Like I think there'll be like 10 to 20 minutes of like him going to the CRM and then being healed and some crazy stuff happening. And I think they're going to do a 6-year time jump where we see Rick still at the Health and Welfare Complex or whatever he's doing. And I think that the situation that Elizabeth Kublik was talking about here may have been something where maybe Rick actually broke out. And there was this crazy moment. Because, like, the Health and Welfare Complex, it's definitely, like, you got to remember, that's stuff that Elizabeth Kublik isn't going to deal with. That's stuff where you have people over there, other less important people dealing with that stuff. If this was an urgent matter, Elizabeth Kublik had to go down to this place. That means that there was something big here. There was a connection with Jadis and a connection with Rick Grimes. And I think that could be why we see Jadis coming back to the show soon. There is going to be some stuff here, and I could sense my excitement starting to, like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, whoa. And then you start to put everything together. You start to think of Jadis and, like, her purpose coming to the show. It looks like it's probably going to be definitely after episode 5. It could happen in 6, 7, and 8. But they're building to something here. They're actually building to something where I think, and this is my prediction for how the show's going to end. And I'm not saying necessarily the characters' endings, but I think that the motivations behind the Civic Republic are going to be revealed. Why they destroyed Omaha. That is going to connect a lot with the Rick movie. What she said here with the Health and Welfare Complex thing, that is easily going to connect to the Rick movie. And I think where they're going to end here is in connection with Rick and what he's doing. Jadis is going to play a role here. And I mean, yeah, like this is honestly really big. And I really feel like this is going to be minor to the things that we're going to find out in the next couple of weeks. Like, I think World Beyond is going to end in a way where we're like, okay, well, they're definitely screwed. And I think we're going to look back at the World Beyond story and be like, I guess we just followed some of the residents of Omaha. We saw how they played a role in the cure and things like that. But for the most part, that was more of a story of what happened in Omaha. And, the Rick movie, if it mentions anything that happened in World Beyond, it's just going to be the stuff that happened at the campus colony in Omaha and stuff. But for the most part, that will be the whole purpose of World Beyond, was just that specifically. And yeah, I think this is really exciting. I think World Beyond's actually going to end off at least pretty strong in the sense of the Rick movie setup here and the stuff with like Jadis and Elizabeth Kublik and the Civic Republic. In terms of the other characters, that's where I have some issues with, and that's where I'm going to kind of combine a little bit here of my World Beyond review. And that is that I just wasn't a fan of episode 4. I just really wasn't. Huck is my favorite character now for sure. Hope is just, I don't know. There's something about Hope that, like, I like her, but then I don't like her. And it's the characters making very dumb decisions, and I can't take it. Honestly, I think Iris is actually the smarter one here. Iris and Felix were actually pretty smart here. They were like, no, we can't go there. We're going to die if we go there. And we know at some point they're going to get arrested and taken there because we do actually see some shots of that, and like there was a previous trailer that was released and we saw that. But for the most part, the characters are pretty frustrating, I would say. And I'm not a fan of all the love stuff, and I had to mention that. I think that this episode was, for the most part, pretty horrible. I wasn't a fan of episode 4. It was very slow. I thought they were going somewhere. I thought maybe they can kill Percy off because there was this whole thing with Percy and Huck. And I understand why Felix didn't want Huck to die, but it also just seemed very, very weird that, like, you're willing to kill Huck. You were willing to kill her before, and now you're trying to save her life. Like, I understand that, you know, Huck dying is going to put the place in danger, but then, like, why were you threatening her? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't get that part of it. I understand that, like, yeah, he never did it in the end and he was just sort of toying with her, but like, why do that? I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating, you know, the whole Elton versus Hope thing too. I hope they get to somewhere with that, but in the end, I feel like they're both just gonna kind of forgive each other. It's not gonna really go anywhere. And so I'm kind of frustrated with all the characters, but Huck, I think, is actually the best character on the show right now. She's actually, she is literally connected with the Rick story in the sense that, you know, as Elizabeth Kublik is and Jadis is. So I'm really interested in seeing where they go with this. And the health and welfare complex thing, like, that was definitely the bright spot of the episode. And I think that, like, that is such a small part of what I think we're going to learn here in World Beyond. Because I know that, like, they know they have to deliver with the Rick stuff. They have to. They have to deliver with some of the things that they promised with this series. It's the last season. And my worry was that they were going to save it for the end. I wanted to get stuff, like, right away throughout season 2. And it looks like, yeah, we're going to have to wait until the end. Like, episode 7, 8, 9, 10, around there is where it's going to get really interesting because the story's about the end. But as of now, we're going to get little things like this. And I would say this is really big news here. This is definitely, it has to be a nod to what's going on at the health and welfare complex and what Rick's up to. So yeah, I'm excited about this. So definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. What do you think happened at the health and welfare complex? Why do you think it was so urgent for Elizabeth Kublik to go there? Because obviously Rick is there, right? Like, that's the place that we've long believed that Rick is in, because there's nowhere else he's going to go. They're going to hold him captive. They're going to try and brainwash him, and that's obviously going to be the place that he goes to. So if there was this urgent matter that was dealt with, what do you think happened? I mean, that's sort of, it's a piece of dialogue that is obviously, like, in reference to the Rick movie, but it's so vague that I'm like, did he break out? What happened here? But anyways, push your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.